For so long, we've been here, we've been trying to...
Hi there, and welcome to another exciting new year edition of the Springboard Hangout. The Springboard Hangout, as you know, is our vindicative program where we have fun and learn pertinent issues about life. My name is Comfort Okran. You are most welcome to this New Year edition of the Springboard Roadshow. As you know, before we left for 2022, a very interesting and, should I say, tumultuous year for most Ghanaians, and also one of new discoveries for people. We have started an edition on agribusiness, and we're looking at opportunities in the agribusiness space. Tonight, it is my privilege to bring to you one gentleman who has studied agribusiness, sustainability, and global warming and global change and everything in between to our studios today. And we're going to learn a lot. So we will go for a short break. When we return, I will go into a very deep conversation with Dr. Evans Ntiamwa. He's my personal friend, and you get to know why. Don't go anywhere. Call someone to come on the stage, because I tell you, we'll learn so much today. Enjoy yourself. See you right soon.
Get me York's rent-a-car. I need a car in 15 minutes. Hi, I'm Jake Morris, and I travel globally. But when I'm in Ghana, York's Rent-A-Car is my reliable choice for safety and comfort on the road.
York's Rent-A-Car provides comprehensive logistics services to mainly blue-chip companies as well as individual clients.
At the time, we needed a car rental service, and York's fitted in very well to our standards.
Their services is top-notch. Drivers are on time.
It was beautiful to see them behind the wheels. And anytime they pick up a guest, the guests were very, very happy.
Already? Excellent. York's Rent-A-Car provides services and expertise that include meet and greet services at the airport, car rental, driver personal outsourcing, and vehicle detailing.
What's the problem? It's you. I told you. York's Rent-A-Car delivers world-class service to its customers, having their highest safety and comfort in mind. So watch you. Go over open for him.
York's Rent-A-Car runs 24/7 operations where customers can make car reservations and inquiries of our services online and also call our hotline.
Hi there, and welcome back. I was telling you about this fascinating young gentleman that has worked. I mean, I knew him many years ago. Evans, how long have I known you?
It's 11 years now.
It's 11 years now.
2012.
2012. How did it come about? Tell me.
So 2012 in Koforidua, I was part of the Springboard team. By then, I was doing my national service. So when I heard Reverend Albert spoke about coming to Koforidua for a Springboard show, I came all the way from Asesawa. I was in Asesawa by then. I came all the way from Asesawa to Koforidua. So
where's Western Asesawa?
Asesawa is like 45-minute drive from Koforidua. Yeah. So many around.
Okay.
So I came. It was Monday. I asked permission. I was teaching. I asked permission from the school and said no. I have to be part of, because I'd been listening to the
virtual university.
Yes. So I decided no. I have to come. I came and I realized they had a club on campus, and so I joined it. From there, every Sunday, every weekend, I had a family in Koforidua by then, so every weekend I was coming. So I decided to stay on Sundays, attend the club meetings, and then on Monday dawn I go back. So around January end, then Springboard Roadshow was moving around the country. So no, as for this time, I have to be part of the team, and I was part of the organization team. And I remember a day before the program, you and Matthew and the team came, and I remember we had a meeting at one of the auditoriums, and most of the tickets were not sold by then. And I remember you divided us into groups that night, and we had to go to the hostels, and the next they had to go to town offices and we did quite well.
Yeah.
But before the program started, we had been able to sell the tickets, and I think that year we did at Jesus Temple.
Yes.
That was there because
Yes.
2011 was at Capital View Hotel.
Yeah.
2012 was Jesus Temple, and so that was our first time. we
And
met.
so since then, what has happened? What has happened in your life?
So after the program 2012 in September, I had admission for a master's program in management science, and so I traveled. I went to China, and I came back in 2014 after master's. I was teaching in one private university. I did for a year, and everyone I encountered was like, "No, Evans, I think you will do well in academia. Go back. You are young and all that." So I decided, no, let me explore the opportunity. I spoke to my supervisor by then. Said, "Sure, you can come back." You put in that the application, and around 2015 April thereabout, I got admission, and September back to China. And so for additional 5 years, I was there studying and coming home. But whilst I was there, the time difference was 8 hours.
Yes.
But especially on Sundays, I will make sure
Evenings.
I'll go to bed on time, and then by the time Springboard will be on show around 7 p.m., that will be around at dawn.
Yeah, around 5.
Yes, but I still made time to, and I remember in 2016, Reverend Albert even interviewed me that day.
That was when we had
we did-
Komla Dumont on.
Yes.
That
we
was
did-
and also on Koforidua.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
did A, B, C. I remember, I've forgotten the A. No, Accra, Bolga, China. And I remember, this gentleman, I've forgotten the name, Mante. And,
Terry.
Yes, and one lady, I've forgotten their name. They were on the show, and myself, so he interviewed me away from China, and then that was the beginning for me, I would say, because a lot of people were listening, not my church members, my pastor, I know a lot of people were listening. I didn't even know of that. And the next day, I had even traveled, and anytime I come down, if your friends say, "Hey, Charlie, where have you been?" Charlie, I'm in Accra. They didn't even know I traveled. So they got to know of that interview. I said, "Oh, okay, so this is what we've been doing." And I think a week or two after that interview, there's this page on Facebook, Nkokoko. I grew up at Nkokoko. So
Okay.
they went, I don't know where they got the information from. They wrote a whole page
Article
on
on
me,
you.
and then starting from where I started school and everything, and showcasing what I've been able to do all these years and where I am in the moment. So that was a great platform for me.
So, in all this education, what have you decided, or what is your specialization now?
So currently I'm into food security and climate change. And in my PhD, one of my specialties was in agribusiness management. And so I still do that as part of consulting and all that. But in terms of research, I now focus more on food security and then climate change. And so currently I even have a project we are working on Africa, and we've realized that climate change is having a detrimental effect on our food systems. And so we are conducting a research to see how there's a concept called climate smart agriculture, how they can fuse climate policies in our agri system so that the food that we are producing, we can have a sustainable food production throughout the year. And so that's a research I'm on right now with some professors around Africa.
Some professors around
Yes,
Africa.
yes,
Hey,
yes.
Charlie, so let's calm down. Let's calm down now. So, as I said, we've talked about different. I mean, we've been doing a series on what do you call it? On agribusiness. And one of the things that we've talked about first was what agribusiness is, and so on and so forth. But sometimes, people we can sometimes forget. So kindly, for our sake, kindly tell us, when you talk about agribusiness, it sounds like, either it's a new kind of animal or something. What is agribusiness?
So I would say agribusiness. Let me take you back from last week. The United Nations farmer, Leonard, I was watching it. He gave a classic example that our fathers or our leaders did agriculture, and
Yeah.
today we are doing the business aspect of it.
Oh.
And so agribusiness is the combination of the two, agriculture and then the business. So anything related to business, the business aspect of the farming production, that is called agribusiness. And so when you talk of agribusiness, it involves the steps from input suppliers, production, harvesting, marketing, warehousing to the final consumer. So all the activities in there that you can classify as a business, that is what we term as agribusiness.
Right. So if let's say, so if we take a typical staple in Ghana like maize, what would be the agribusiness or the value chain in the agribusiness value chain for something like maize?
So for maize production, the value chain starts from input supplies. For input supplies, we are talking about the seedlings that you need. You are talking about the agrochemicals, where you get the chemicals to maybe prepare the land first. The seedlings comes in, the fertilizers you are going to use. Most of the time, you don't even talk about credit institutions and research, but they are all part of the input supplies.
Okay.
For instance, if you have like 100 acres or 100 hectares of land, and you don't
I
have,
like the hectares.
yes, and you don't have the funds to do it on your own, you might rely on a financial institution, or so the credit institution, they comes in. And maybe for 100 acres, hectares, you want to go in for the best yields, or the kind of variety that you think it can give you the best yield. You have to resort to this research institute and organizations that are now coming out with the hybrid seedlings and the rest to know the ones that is good for you. And nowadays, even when you even contact them, they can let you know which one is suitable for a certain area. So for instance, if you are in the northern parts of Ghana, what you grow very well over there, when you come to the southern parts, might not be. So
fantastic.
You engage them, then they will tell you this is good, this is all. And there are also some that it requires more rain. So some by 3 months they mature and then you can harvest them. Some also need more rain. So if you go to the northern parts where they rely heavily on rainfall agriculture, and then rain doesn't come often at that place, you will need the ones that are more or less resistant to rainfall and all that, so that you can still get your yields. So the first point is the input supplies, all the things that you need before you move on to the production side. With the production side, we are looking at the growing, the pruning, and then all that to the harvesting. So after harvesting, then you have to transport it. There are two types of. It's either you are selling it at the farm gate. You have people who are coming to buy it at the farm gate for, let's take it, feed production or something. So in that context, you have to know who you are selling to. It's either at the farm gate, or you want to store it your own and then sell it in retail. And so you definitely transport it from the production site to your warehouse, where you have your warehousing. So in the warehousing, you are going to store, you are going to, there's this friend of mine on Facebook, Isaac Sese, he has been able to come out with a grain moisture meter called the grain meat. Now, after harvesting, before you can store it for it to last for a year or more, you need this kind of meat, this device to test the moist texture of
content, yeah,
content of the maize, for it to know whether it has the right figure.
For shelf life.
Yes, for
how long
exactly.
you can store it or otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it, at first what we do is we will just be putting it in the sun for some months, and then we think, oh, we put our honey in, so it's dry, we can't store it. And sometimes you store it for like 6 months, 8 months. By the time you go
realize,
in there, no, half of it is gone. And so that is where he comes in. He's also, so before, for warehousing, you have all this is in place, the storing, the monitoring, and making sure that it is before they will transfer from the warehousing to distribution and retailing and the marketing. So it's different. Every commodity has its value chain.
Yeah, every commodity has a value chain. And so you've had Evans Ntuama, Dr. Evans Ntuama, who is of EBN Farm Africa Limited, and he has really broken down the value chain for us. But what I want you to realize is that all these processes, it doesn't need to be one person to do it, you know, because every one of those spaces is a business opportunity, and therefore, if you are a researcher, there is a business opportunity for that. If you have a financial house or something, there is a business opportunity there. Somebody can decide to take the warehousing because you have the ability to put up, you know, some specialized farm warehouse for maybe maize or something like that. And so you invest in there and you aggregate all the farm, maize that is harvested in that area and put it in your warehouse. So then, at the right time, if you have the meter that you had,
the grain meat,
the grain meat, then you know that you are doing the right thing at the right time. So people, I believe now, everybody who listens or who has followed us, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, kindly let us know. And let us also know where you are watching us from. And most importantly, let someone also know that something really good is going on down here today and tonight. So Evans, we have looked at the business opportunities that are available in the agribusiness space. We have realized that there's so much to do. But what has the business opportunities, what do they have in common with what we'll call the sustainability in this space? What is sustainability? Why does one have to think about food security and sustainability in our part of the world?
You know, food security, when you talk of food security, it speaks to the availability of food in a given in the country, and the ability of the people or the citizens to afford, to access, and to source the adequate foodstuffs at a given time. And so looking at food security, 4 key things come to mind: availability of food, accessibility of food, sustainability of food, and stability of food, and the last one is utilization of food.
So you have availability, you have
accessibility, and stability, and utilization of food. So with availability of food, we are looking at domestic food production, commercial food import. We are looking at the food aids. We are looking at the stocks from your previous year. And so if you want to assess Ghana's food security for a given year, we look at this year, quantities of food that we produced, quantities of food that we imported, the food stocks that we have, the aids that we are getting from elsewhere. So these things come together to form the availability of food. Now, when we talk of accessibility, we are looking at how accessible this food that we are talking about is to the people. Does the people have enough resource to purchase this food? Do they have the purchasing power to purchase this food? And then thirdly, we are talking about stability of food. Stability, how stable is the food that we produce in a given year? How is it sustainable within the year? In most cases, we hear that there's a bumper harvest for maize for a certain time, but within 6 months, there's none. And you have to rely on import ones to be able to be self-sufficient, and that is a challenge. So analyzing your food security of a country, you are looking at the food that we are saying that we are producing. How sustainable is it for the year? Throughout the year, can we rely on what, or do we have excess that we've kept? So that's where availability comes back in. Food stock from previous years. And the last one, utilization, we are looking at the nutritional value of the foods that we produce, the quality of the food and the safety of it. So if we produce food and we don't store them well, by the time we take it from the warehouse to the distribution to the final consumer, its value might not be the best. And so these 4 key things, if you put all these 4 together, then you know you are food secure or not. In Ghana, in most parts of Africa, we dwell so much on the first part,
which is the availability.
When we realize this, we get to rain at a particular year and there's enough food, we go to the market centers and we see
the food on the floor.
Yes, and I feel they are baby, and we don't talk much about the people having the
access,
the money to purchase, the stability of it, and the nutritional value. That even that aspect, we don't even talk about it at all. So these 4 key things, when you put all these 4 key things together, then you know, oh, so we are now talking about food security. And it's very important because everyone eats. We eat every day. Even if you are fasting, when you break at 6, you will still take in something.
But if you are doing 40-day dry fast, that
after
when you
40
break,
days,
after 40 days, you still have to eat.
After 40 days, you will eat. So it's very important because we eat every day. And our population keeps increasing every day. If you look at the drivers of food insecurity, one of the main food insecurity pillars is population growth. We are growing at a fast pace, but our food is not growing at that same pace.
So, Evans, when you mention those 4 pillars of food security, I was wondering, have you or anyone undertaken a really in-depth study into how we can first identify the challenges that we have in the various parts of our food security, should I say, framework? You know, what are the challenges that we have there? And do we have any program that is targeting how we can solve the challenges that we face in our framework? And is there any plan? I'm asking you too many questions. Can you keep all the questions in your mind?
Sure.
So it's a 3-part question. Yes. I'm asking you. So the third one is, what plan, if any, do we have to make sure that, let's say in about 10 years' time, GH will become very sustainable and food secured?
The first part, with research, 2 years ago, I sat with 2 of my friends who are also more or less into sustainability studies. And we were talking, the UN wants to be food secure by 2030. We want to attain a zero hunger by 2030.
Zero hunger by 2020. That's the UN goal.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were asking, is it possible? Because from 2015, food insecurity keeps increasing every year. But we say we want to get zero.
It's food insecurity worldwide or food insecurity DH?
Globally.
Okay,
even
globally.
in Ghana.
Okay.
Currently, we have over 900 million people who are food insecure.
Okay.
And about a third are in Africa.
No, let's, okay, yes, a third in Ghana. Okay, right, right. Okay.
So we said, okay, we want to find out by 2030, is it possible that we can be food secure? And at the end of the research, we realized by 2030, we have to double and triple what we are doing now.
In Ghana.
In Ghana and other parts of the research was centered on West Africa. West African countries, there's 16 countries in West Africa. And by the data we had was up to 2015. And by 2015, we had about 6.2 of our people who were food insecure. And so with the value chain, trying to analyze it and then know the problems in there, I think that is one of the things I've decided to do this year. I've decided, I started somewhere November last year. I've divided the agri sector into 5. I mostly publish with Business and Financial Times once a while. So this year I want to analyze the value chains one by one. So if I take the poultry subsector, I want to analyze the whole value chain from input to the meat to the final consumer, where it gets to the malls and the rest, and know where the challenges are. The horticulture sector, the tree crop, and so that is, I want to come out with 5 articles that I can publish with BFT.
Okay.
And there's this group, Agribusiness, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana.
Yeah.
So these are some of the research that when you come out with the findings, on their platforms, they promote it and then get governments and institutions that matters on board and see how we can address it. Going forward, in the next 5 to 10 years, I've seen we are not there yet, but it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. We are somewhere, because if you look at the Millennium Goals years ago, we've done well. Just that there's so much untapped opportunities that we should be able to get by now. Just this morning, I chanced on palm oil production from Malaysia, and in 2021, palm oil production alone gave them $34.79 billion to their GDP. But our history says that Malaysia once lent even the palm tree.
No. Let's not talk about the past. We're talking about the present right now.
Yeah.
But you know, when you talked about the fact that we need to do some work. If there's so much opportunity, I saw the opportunity that is available in the space, and therefore, if somebody wants to say, okay, so I hear that we need to be food secure, and at least even the accessibility alone is not yet in place, or even the stability is also a challenge. Where can somebody position him or herself and say, okay, I am going to play in this space?
So let's start from the input.
Okay.
Let's start from the input, and then. So I can decide that I don't have the land. I don't want to go into production.
Yes.
All that I want to do is I just want to focus on the input side. Now, I will liaise with this research institute that have the seedlings, and they can educate me on which ones work best for these areas and all that. Most farmers don't even know of this research institute and what they have there for them. And so I can decide that I will get closer to this research institute, know what they have, compare it to the foreign ones that comes in. Then I will set a business from that angle. Then after getting these ideas and these goals, then I'm now targeting the farmers in these farming communities. I have these varieties. This seedlings, if you grow within 3 months, you can harvest. This one, 4 months, you can harvest. This has these advantages and disadvantages. So just that area alone, you can start a business over there, and then you can do now there are a lot of agrochemicals around. They sell the fertilizers.
I don't like the agrochemicals. I like the natural.
ones.
I like the organic one.
The organic ones. That's also there. But nowadays, studies in the way has proven that if you really want to produce on a very large scale, we can't do away without the hybrid seedlings, the fertilizers, and the tractors, and because if I want to do organic, doing organic for like 100 hectares of land, then I would need like 1,000 farmers on.
Actually, you know, modern production methods do not need that amount of land, especially if you are combining technology. I mean, when I'm saying technology, I don't mean the small kind of technology. I mean the real tech from beginning to end, the type that you just need one person on the farm to plant hectares of land of products. And this doesn't need hectares of land as well. You just need to do either vertical, you know, either agroponics or something like that. I don't need the tractor again.
So then it means, for instance, in preparing the land, it's going to take you longer days. If I'm preparing the land to grow for a maize, what a tractor can do in an hour, if human is supposed to do that, it will take us more hours.
It's not human. It's technology. It's equipment. It's computer equipment that will do that work.
Yeah, and that I understand that, but in that part of the world, you know, these things are new ideas and new technologies coming into play. Now, a farmer who has a farm around Nkoko, Pintampo and all that, don't even understand what you're talking about.
I know. So, but it's an opportunity for those, those who are into maybe technology to say, okay, so maybe I have an idea about how to write the programming that is needed to do this kind of work.
So that is also a business opportunity. It's a business opportunity that people can explore and get people on board.
Okay, so we want to go for a short break. We will be right back. When we come, we'll continue this one and then bring in something that he alluded to at the beginning of the program, what was climate change. Now, how does climate change, add to this interesting conundrum that we have? And what can we do about that? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Send us your questions and let's answer them on my page. Thank you. See you soon.
Get me York's rent a car. I need a car in 15 minutes. Hi, I'm Jake Morris, and I travel globally. But when I'm in Ghana, York's Rent a Car is my reliable choice for safety and comfort on the road.
York's Rent a Car provides comprehensive logistics services to mainly blue chip companies as well as individual clients.
At the time, we needed a car rental service, and York's fitted in very well per our standards.
Their services is top-notch. Drivers are on time.
It was beautiful to see them behind the wheels. And anytime they pick up a guest, the guests were very, very happy.
Already? Excellent. York's Rent a Car provides services and expertise that include meet and greet services at the airport, car rental, driver personal outsourcing, and vehicle detailing.
What's the problem? It's you. I told you. York's Rent a Car delivers world-class service to its customers, having their highest safety and comfort in mind. So watch you. Go over open for him.
York's Rent a Car runs 24/7 operations where customers can make car reservations and inquiries of our services online and also call our hotline.
Welcome back to the Springboard Hangout. The Springboard Hangout, as you know, is our fun-educative program where we have fun and learn about things that concern us. We are continuing our series on opportunities in the agribusiness space. And today, we are privileged to have a Springboard alum who is doing wonders in agribusiness, food security, and climate change space. His name is Dr. Evans Ntiamwa, and he's been talking to us about what agribusiness is, what is the value chain, talk to us about what is food security. And since climate change is one of his specialities as well, I would like us to end there. So when we were going away, we looked at about he mentioned that the 4 key things that undergird climate change include availability, accessibility, sustainability, and then also stability. So then if these are things that we have, and the UN has declared that by 2020 we need to be the world needs to be secure in terms of food security, and we are yet to really kind of get on the track that is Ghana. And when you take the whole picture for Africa as well, there's a huge opportunity there because there's so much that can be done in that space. So that's okay. Send us your questions if you have any questions for him. Kindly send us your questions, then we can answer that. So Evans, thank you. For that the light you've thrown for us on that whole agribusiness as well as food security and how much opportunity that exists in that space, not just in Ghana but in agriculture across Africa. So before we went away, we're looking at okay. So you have realized the opportunity. You've gone into it, and then all you realize is that's because of something that everybody is talking about, climate change. You are not really realizing the quick turnaround that you were hoping. What is climate change and why should we look out for it?
So I remember about 2 years ago, during COVID time at somewhere in Sunyane, we were having a discussion on climate change, and one woman was like, I don't see Abuabe. And I was like, oh, mommy, it's not anything huge. We are talking about the rainfalls that you don't have it as expected. We are talking about the flooding that comes when you least expect it. It destroys your goods and all that. So in Ghana, globally, in China, America, and the rest, because of manufacturing and all that, they talk more of carbon emissions and all that. But if you come to Africa, where in terms of manufacturing, we are not there yet, the things that affect us mostly is high temperatures, and then precipitation, that's rainfall, very either high or so
erratic.
Yeah. So that is what is. At first, we knew that around this time, getting the rain is something that you
no, but you don't usually know around this time you don't expect rain, do you?
But last weekend I was at Nkoko and it rained for more than an hour.
No, but that is in Nkoko. Nkoko is in the rural, it's in the hinterland. But in Accra, we won't get any rainfall till about March. We were fine with that because we knew Hamatan was the order of the day, and we didn't have any issue with that.
And I was talking to a number of people and not knowing it rained in Koforidua, just around Easton. I was like, hey, then this year farmers should expect something good. Normally when it rains, yes, that's how most farmers calculate it. When they get an early rain, now this year is going to be a good year. And so when most farmers around February, they have already prepared their lands for growing. They are just waiting for the first rain. So it comes and then the next day, within that week, they have to go to the field there to grow their maize, their soya beans and all that. So if it doesn't come as expected, in the southern part, most farmers do twice a year. They have the major season and then the minor season. But in the northern side, you just have only one season. So because they do twice down here, they want the early rain to start early. So that by August, September, they can do the second one. So if it doesn't come by February, and I think, was it last year or 2 years? That's at March, they were still waiting, and it affected especially their second year, when it's around harvesting time, we were even around Harmattan time, and it didn't do well for them at all. And so the rainfall that they don't get on time is something. And nowadays, there are a number of organizations and entities that are coming out with simple tools. Now people are there are a number of companies that I know that they are coming out with mobile informations that within the week, if there's any rain that's supposed to come, you know they prompt you ahead of time, and so they know of it. And now they are also coming because Africa, because we are not doing well mostly in food production because we rely heavily on rain. In Ghana, for instance, just 2% of our entire food production lands are irrigated. We depend heavily on rain. And so if we depend on rain, it means that if it doesn't come as expected, then we find ourselves wanting. And so now a number of companies are also coming with the drip kind of irrigation. So the farmers can also practice, and then at least they will still get the yields that they are supposed to get. So climate change, classically, we are talking about the rainfalls, we are talking about the high temperatures. How do we make sure that despite all these, we can still produce food sustainably? And so that's what I spoke initially, that we are now conducting a research on climate smart agriculture. We are blending climate to agriculture to produce in a smart way. So what are some of the things, and most of the technologies are very expensive. So how do we get technologies or ideas that are not that the farmers can afford it, can do it, and so that is what that research is focused on. And I have seen a number of Ghanaian companies. Now, I remember, I think a couple of months ago, I was with one farmer and he took his phone, and the company was even providing her with food prices at major market centers in Ghana. So if he's harvesting today, he knows if I take it to Agribusiness, this is the price they will buy. If I take it to maybe Kumasi or North, this is, so you look at where you think it will fit you, and so it's a problem, but gradually there are solutions coming in, and I know we can turn the situation around with time.
As you keep speaking, the only thing I see or hear is opportunity. Opportunity. Why? Because I see so much space that people can go into, and I believe that if we look at our food sustainability,
the agriculture sector alone has what it takes to solve all the unemployment problem you have in Africa.
Could you repeat that?
So the agriculture sector alone has what it takes to solve all the unemployment issues we have in Africa.
Not Ghana?
Not even in Ghana, in Africa.
In Africa?
Yes.
How do we make that? How do we make that a reality?
It's a number of stakeholders need to come on board.
Okay.
From government to private sector to financiers to researchers, and you go to some research institute and realize that a number of research that they are conducting is just lying in their shelves. No one is even implementing it. Sometimes you take a data from farmers. After the research, you go to them with the findings, and they just take it and put it somewhere. So if we really want to solve this problem, let's take, for instance, in Ghana, if we are able to identify that in a given year we consume like 3 million metric tons of maize, and we go to the drawing table and say, how do we make sure that instead of the 3 million, we are going to produce 6 million, so that the additional 3 million, we take it outside to sell? One, it will create employment. Two, it will bring revenue to the country. Palm oil alone is giving the country over 34 billion in a year. Cocoa gives us a little over 2 billion a year. So there are so many things that we can do in our food space. We have over 57%, 57.1% of our land in Ghana. That is very good for agricultural purposes. And so if you really want to solve this problem, government must pave the way, the private sector must come in, research institutes are needed, the private sector, the finance institutions, the farmers, everyone, we need to sit at the drawing table. What do we do? For instance, we import so much rice in a year. What do we do that within the next 5 years, we want to at least, every country imports, even China and America, they import. But we want to reduce it to like 10% or 20%, so that we produce over 70 to 80% in Ghana. Can we come with a 5-year strategic plan? First year, can we produce 10%? What are the inputs that we need? What kind of investment that we need on board? The people, the farmers, do we already have farmers who have the land, but they don't have the money, they don't have the know-how? How do we assist such people? Now, it's because over time, we've not been able to tackle some of these issues. Now, a farmer will do, for instance, maize or pineapple this year, and the next time you see them, they are going, especially when you go to western part, most farmers are now turning their farms into rubber plantation, because now that is where the money is. So some are even cutting down their cocoa trees to go into
rubber
because
plantation.
That is where now it is fetching.
So one of the things that I was having a recent discussion, the person said, well, in Ghana, one of the key bottlenecks that he had identified was the fact that our land tenure system is one of the biggest challenges. And therefore, if we are not able to tackle that, some of our lofty dreams of doing such large-scale commercial farming would remain that. You're nodding, so it seems you agree with it.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I do. I've encountered a challenge.
You've encountered a challenge like that, you see.
Yes.
And so how do we go about it? How do we unlock? Because the thing is, we need the lever to unlock the levers so that we are able to meet what we want to achieve in that area. So how do we do that?
So despite this challenge, so like I said, it is it's a huge platform that various stakeholders must come on board. Now, we have difficulties with our land issues, but it will surprise you that you go to these chiefs and if you go to the IVAs and the rest, and you will need like 10 hectares of land for a project. They will get it for you. So if you really want to go on a large scale, the family size, it's very difficult because my farm is here. I share a boundary with you here. Another person is here. Mine is just 1 hectare. Yours is 2 hectares. Another is 3 hectares. Now I want like 5 hectares or 10 hectares. What I want to grow, you don't want it. Another person don't want it. So how do I even get the 10 hectares? I will end up not growing it at all because I won't get the land. But if we are deliberate about it and say, no, this is where we want to go. Every district, let's get like 10 hectares, 20 hectares, or 50 hectares, and identify which crop will do well in that area. It will surprise us that we can get chiefs and people who own such lands and will agree to lease lands for us. Last year, I was talking to one good friend of mine, and I was like, hey, it's been a while I heard from you. Yes, so I've been at the northern part of Ghana for a couple of months now. So doing what? So I'm even growing now on 2,000 hectares of land. So what? 2,000 hectares? Yes. He had a foreign investor, so they are producing maize and soya beans. At the end of the day, they will take it. So how do you come about that 2,000 hectares of land? So, you come there and the chiefs, the lands are there. All they want is they give the land to you, you recruit their youth on the farm so that they don't want them to be just working, doing nothing. So you are creating employment for them. And if you look at the money they are taking for that 2,000 hectares, and you come down here and it can't even buy 10 hectares. Around the southern side, Greater Accra Eastern region, now if you want a farmland and they want to sell to you like a real estate
exactly.
a land.
Yeah.
There was 5 acres land we were talking about around Chichamanti area, and more or less he was selling it to us
Plot by plot.
Plot by plot. So you about 5 acres, and it's like a huge amount. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, where are you going to get this money? So I think if we really want to solve that problem, the stakeholders must meet. People who owns lands. We still have families who owns huge lands and they are not into farming. Such people can lease their land for us 10 years, 20 years. We pay them, we produce.
Evans, this thing has been so interesting and interesting. Our time is almost up. But before you run away, I want you to just give us a little tweak into your company, EBN Farms. What do you do? And and use that as your final words for us for tonight.
So EBN Farm is two in one. We are into agribusiness consulting, and we also have a farming project that we are working on currently with the consulting aspect. If, for instance, around November, December, I was working with one client from Techiman. He has a poultry farm, about 50,000 birds. Now they want to go into the automated cage system and go into meat production, but they don't know how to go about it. And so getting even their capital budget was a problem. Now, in fact, all the years I spent in China, my last 6 to 8 months, that was when I really got to know why God took me there.
Okay.
Because I was moving from one factory, one company to another. So as I speak, I have over 20 factories that I've been to. They are into manufacturing of the machinery and then everything. So if you really want to set the machine, for instance, palm oil production, whatever metric tons you want to produce in the hour, they have it. So they will run you through all the techniques. They have the engineers who come and set the machines for you, educate your team, train your staff on that, then they hand over to you, and then after sales service and all that. So consulting, we do that aspect. And then for the production aspect, we've identified that most farms are not able to do well because, especially with the processing companies, most of them don't own the raw materials. So about 2-3 days ago, I read in one of the publications that Commended Sugar Factory, the farmers prefer selling the raw sugar cane to Apetishi farmers because they think they can pay them better than
the Commended
yes.
Sugar
So
Factory.
at the end of the day, if you don't get the raw material, what do you do? So what we have we have a poultry project that we are currently working on, and we are starting from the scratch from input, the maize, the soya bean, what we want to import now is the medicine and the vaccine. That one in Ghana, as we speak, we don't have it here. So we import such ones. We get our own feed. We have the factory. We produce. We rear them 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We process them, and then we take them to the malls to sell. To them.
So what would be your what will be your capacity when you are full capacity?
So currently, what we have is 700,000
birds.
Birds, yeah, 100. Each housing is taking 100,000.
You have 700,000 birds.
Yeah.
And you are cycling them, giving yourself maximum an 8-week cycle period.
Yes. And
so within a year, you can send six batches.
Five in a year.
5 in a year.
5 in a year. 5 in a year. And it's a huge project. It's taken a number of years.
But
It was a revelation. It was a revelation. I said, no, I'll hold on to this and then we run
and
with
by
it.
the grace of God,
Yes,
it will
yes,
come
yes,
to
yes, sure,
pass.
sure,
Oh, Evans, thank you so much for making time to come on the show today. We are very grateful. And thank you also for watching today. As you can see, we are back full swing. And next week, we'll have another beautiful interview to share with you. This weekend, on Sunday, don't forget to watch a repeat of this on ETV. Additionally, at 7 p.m. on the dot, join Joy FM as Reverend Albert Okran gives you another exciting edition on the on the virtual university. So until we come away next week with all the goodies that we have in Springboard Hangouts, enjoy life, because life is full of so many opportunities. And once you believe there are those opportunities and you see them, you discover them, and hey, your life will be one testimony or one story that we will be celebrating either here or on the virtual university. The choice is yours. Enjoy a lovely day. Love you, and good night.